guys, I'm Natalia Callahan, and today I'm going to be presenting my presentation on social emotional learning final project for this class. You can access today's lesson at the following QR code or the tiny URL below. So just to give you guys a glimpse as to who I am, I've been teaching at Huck High School since 2004, and I teach AP Calculus with the Gates Institute. And I'm taking this class so that way I can go ahead and get a little bit better acquainted with my students in terms of their needs and also educational goals. Here's a picture of my family. So I went ahead and organized my presentation based on chapter 6 on executive functioning. So the executive functioning part of our brain is considered as the frontal lobes of the brain and the emotional regulation, which matures greatly during adolescence for students. So students that have previous modeling and support in effective self-regulation may be more emotionally mature to do a lot of these tasks and would require less assistance in creating effective goals or getting certain tasks done in the class. On the other hand, students with less emotional support or more negative school experience may not be able to view the purpose of tasks positively, and they are more inclined to brush off a task as mundane or maybe not purposeful or useless to do. And I have several GT students that actually fit this narrative. And so as a teacher, I will need to plan on giving students that fall into this category more direct support in their goal design and frame the goal in a more optimistic manner and adapt to the positive growth mindset. And so a few of the things that I use is that this is one on the positivity mindset that I can adapt into my classroom, where students are asked to pick 5 positivity mindset quotes that best describe them, color it, and then come up with 3 more positivity mindset quotes that they are using on a daily basis to share. So I have a group of GT kids in my AP Calculus class that wouldn't be able to dictate the entire period to the SEL purpose of this lesson, but I can certainly incorporate pieces of it during a break or after a long integration problem with trig inverse functions or something of that nature. Another thing that I can do is to give them a planner where this will allow students to be a little bit more aware of their daily habits, and then also reflect on their desk on things that worries them or what they're satisfied with, just so they are aware of what's happening in their lives and lessons. This is another one that I can incorporate where it ranks things that helps students learn in terms of their growth mindset with reflection and also growth mindset comparison between the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. The next topic that I wanted to dive into is the anxiety and perfectionism. So from the textbook, it stated that the enemy of persistence is procrastination. And the book's definition of procrastination is the postponing or lack of initiating tasks that needs to be accomplished to reach a goal. So many of my GT students in calculus exhibit characteristics of perfectionism. And what that might entail is that I would have students believing that what they can do is more important or more valuable than who they are, or that their self-worth as a human being depends upon being perfect. And ultimately, they set these impossible goals for themselves to achieve. And when it doesn't come to fruition, that oftentimes leads to a lot of anxiety and stress for them, or they consistently want to be praised for their greatness and exceptional abilities, or they resist challenging their work for fear of their struggles might be seen by others. And again, all of that ties into the ideal image of being perfect and also having a false sense of security in their one ability to accomplish a task or being overly confident. So in order to combat this concern as a teacher, I can guide them through to alleviate their anxiety and procrastination or their strive for perfection by helping them become better developing at greater sense of their self-regulations. And to do that, I will need to become essentially better acquainted with my students. And so what I have here is the first one is an about me profile, which provides me a glimpse into who my students are, their interests or their sense of what is important and what they value. So I can better develop my lessons accordingly to their interests. Another one is the I feel angry when bubble questions, what trigger my GT students. So I have a comprehensive understanding of what to avoid when planning for my curriculum and a better understanding of how to accommodate the individual's need of my GT students. Next, I have a gratitude web on what students can be or are grateful for in their life, and the emotional wheel, so I can gain a better sense of how my students' emotions are provoked by fear, happiness, or by boredom, or peacefulness in this case. All of these ideas can be modeled for my students to decrease some of their issues and also to increase their focus towards their achievement. So this is all the concepts, formulas, and skills and standards students will need to memorize in a calculus class and fully comprehend to solve on the AP exam. So to anybody's untrained eyes, these are 11 pages, are very exhaustive, overwhelming, lots of standards of what students need to know in preparation for their AP exam in May. So to help students become more organized with their thought process and narrow in on their concentration on the goals of what to study for the AP exam, I have them use the following 3 highlighter rule. So the first color they use is to highlight questions that they already know. The second color is to highlight questions that they don't know. And then of course, the third one is to highlight questions that they think they might know, but perhaps are unsure and need a little bit more assistance with. So overall, this process is very beneficial to a lot of my students because it specifically trains them on time management, study skills, and goal setting. And overall, it kind of condenses their goals into manageable parts so it doesn't appear overwhelming for the AP exam in May. My third concentration of this is on the learning environment, and this was from chapter 8. So when it comes to gifted students, they do display greater metacognitive awareness than non-gifted students. So it's important to have students describe their ideal studying environment where there is no distraction and to include other techniques that they would like to try. So I focus on the learning environment from chapter 8 on building and studying habits to help my students develop a greater self-regulation in their learning or their SRL. And I want to create a classroom climate where students feel safe, secure, and at liberty to take intellectual risks. And I can do that as a teacher by encouraging self-regulation growth through designing engaging interactive activities to boost students' efficiency and also, efficacy, and also to ensure their success with confidence. So the first thing that I have here is an about me profile where students can share but also be more cognizant of their own strengths and weaknesses are as a learner. The about me template provides me a glimpse into the environment at their house. Is it a quiet learning environment? Do they have a quiet place to do their homework? Do they get distracted by siblings or pets? How many hours do they sleep? Do they have a job or things of that nature, and what they do to maintain a healthy functioning mindset when they are not at school. This next piece is the how do you like to learn survey, which will allow students to become more acquainted with their own learning style, such as are they more in tune to being a logical mathematical thinker or a more spatial visual learner. And overall, students just need to learn how to create and maintain a more productive learning environment where they feel safe and take intellectual risk and have the necessary tools for thinking. And these practices not only provide me as a teacher with a better understanding on how my students learn, but students can also gain a better understanding and how to maximize their learning. The fourth one that I selected was on habits of thinking, which is on chapter 1. So when it comes to habits of minds and thinking, students should continually evaluate the implementation process of their learning through self-reflective practice. Students should also get into the mindset not to expect that skills that they learn will be useful in their first application. A lot of times it might take them a few tries, and they really should expect to practice, self-evaluate, and continue to maintain their belief in themselves as they progress with the lesson. So what I have here in class is I use exit ticket and reflection in the form of a Google form to help and provide time for students to reflect more upon their knowledge and them to become more attuned to themselves and their learning progress and build their confidence when they are learning. So I just have a QR code and also a tiny URL. This was something that I can use in week 8. And so when they go ahead and scan it with their cell phones or their iPads, it takes them to this Google form. And let me reshare that. So then it looks like this, and they just give me their name, and I provide quotes for themselves, like what things to remember, do you tell yourself daily, and things of that nature. So this is one that I use. Another one that I have used before is this one here for week 4 Tuesday. So students can only use this one based on Bloom's taxonomy, which category defines your level, understand today's level, and they have a provided response for it. And they also ask them more like simplistic question like, where is your favorite place in the world? And I would like to get better acquainted with you. What is one thing that you can share with me? And I include positive quotes to end the day's lesson with. And it's fairly simple, and students can just use your phone to get to. And a great thing about this one that I use is that when students do respond, I have the responses right here. So I know who they are, what period they're in. They can type in their responses, and automatically I have everything calculated for me. So I have like a one-on-one approach to listening to students to their concerns and addressing it. Because a lot of times if you do this on a piece of paper, you might not get it in time, or you might lose it. And this is just a good way of organizing everything and keeping everything together. Here are some other additional ones that I use with like emoji exit tickets, or what are 3 positive things someone will say about you. The next one that I have here is on questioning techniques. And one resource that I have implemented previously that have shown great success in utilizing questioning techniques and conversing in mathematical discourse is to provoke more thoughtful discussions about a particular topic. And some of the benefits of discourse enable students to clarify their understandings, constructing convincing arguments, developing the language to express mathematical ideas, and learning to see things from other people's perspective. So the practice allows students to become more accepting, open to new ideas from a single pointed mindset. So for example, to help students learn to reason mathematically in class, I would ask, is that true for all cases? Explain your thought, and can you provide a counterexample? Or if I want to inquire students to help them collectively make sense of a mathematic question, I can ask them, does anyone have the same answer but a different way to explain it? Or can you convince the rest of us that your answer makes sense? Or if so, can you go ahead and use a mathematical discourse in the class to challenge the accuracy and completeness of your thinking? So these are some of the questions that I would use to encourage that. I also have them posted around my classroom in big posters, so that way students are consistently immersed with these questioning skills and prompts. So to conclude my presentation, students need to be more active leaders in the curriculum, where I, as a teacher, is aiming to teach the whole child by integrating both specific and multidisciplinary strategies with the techniques of self-regulations for learning. So I hope to instill students with many responsibilities in the process of the learning of the lifelong learning skills, not just in high school, but also skills that they can take with them when they navigate through higher education and in life in general. And do you have any questions?